What is the respiration and how the gases was discovered, and also we learned about the what is it aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, and what are the organs are involved in the respiratory system. I mean, for example, if you take the cutaneous, means here their skin was involved, and if you take the pulmonary circulation, means we can able to see the lungs. Now we are going to discuss about the human respiratory system. So once the human respiratory system, how the respiration process will be going on, and what are the organs are involved, and the process of respiration, all we are discussed in this concept now. And after this one complete, after we are going to discuss about the in the plant how the respiration process will be taking place. So first of all, we have to learn about the what are the organs are presented in the human respiratory system. So if you take the human digestive system, is in the human digestive system, from the mouth to anus, we are seeing the some of the organs are involved. All the organs are together. What they function they are performing means they are performing the digestion function. Similarly, here also in the human respiratory system, we can able to see the different organs are involved. All these organs are together. What the function they are performing is they are performing the respiration function. They are performing the respiration function. That's why we are calling all these organs together as a human respiratory system. We are calling as a human respiratory system. So what are the organs are presented in the human respiratory system? We have to discuss one by one now. The first organ in the human respiratory system is a nostril. Actually, here if you see this, here I wrote there as a nostril, but here this nostril is not an organ actually. For example, if you see your nose is the helping in the breathing process. For example, if you see the in front of your nose, we can able to see the two pores are present. I mean, two holes we can able to see them. So those two holes, what we calling means we are calling them as a nostrils. We are calling them as a nostrils. Actually, these are the not any organ, but here we are discussing about them. So here if you see means these nostrils are allowing the air into the nose. They are allowing the air means they will be allowed the passage of air into the nasal cavity. So that is the function only of the nostrils, and they are not performing any other function. So actually these are the nostrils means a small pores, holes are presented in front of your nose, and we can able to see the two are presented, and they are allowing the air into the inside of your nasal cavity, and that is the function of the nostrils. And once the nostrils are complete, after here inside of the nasal cavity, nose, we can able to see the some empty space was presented. And what we calling the empty space means we are calling as a nasal cavity. We call as a nasal cavity. For example, if you take your mouth on here, we calling as these two are lips. And similarly here we can able to see the nostrils. Two pores we call as a nostrils. So when your mouth is open means what we can able to see some empty space inside of your mouth. And what we are calling is we are calling as an oral cavity or buccal cavity. Similarly, when you are taking inside of your nose means here we can able to see the some empty space, that one only calling as a nasal cavity. So here in the oral cavity we can able to see the teeth and tongue and some organs are presented here. But are you see any organs in the nasal cavity means we cannot see the any specialized organs in the nasal cavity. But here they also performing the some functions take place in the nasal cavity. But if they are in the textbook, they are not given anything, and that one no need for you also. But here I am explaining to you. So here in the nasal cavity, if you see means in the nasal cavity we can separate. We are classified the nasal cavity into three chambers. We are classified them into three chambers. What are those three chambers means? For example, if you see the in front of the nasal cavity, what chamber was located? That one we call as a vestibular chamber. We call as a vestibular chamber. And here they are not performing any function. They are just only have. And this nasal cavity will be completely contain the hair follicles. Hair follicles means a small hair particles will be presented there. So once the vestibular chamber complete, after again in the back of the vestibular chamber we can able to see the respiratory chamber. We are calling as a respiratory chamber. And here I want to say the one more point for you. So actually whatever the gases will be, we are respiring, all the gases exchange will be take place in the lungs only. And everybody know that one. But actually here in the nasal cavity, especially in this portion, some of the gases exchange. Here we are releasing carbon dioxide and taking oxygen. Actually most of the members they don't know that, but here in the respiratory chamber also we can able to see that some of the respiration process will be taking place. And once the respiratory chamber complete after, we can able to see the olfactory chamber. Olfactory means, here in your previous class we already learned that sensory organs there. In the sensory organs time we are discussed about the nose. So in the nose, if you see, means they are helping to us in the smell. So here how we are getting the smell means, here we can able to see the some of the receptor cells are presented. Those cells where they presented means, especially they are presented in this portion, and they are helps in the recognition of smell. So what are the cells are presented here? They are called as olfactory cells. So they are helps in the detection of smell. That's why we are calling the chamber as an olfactory chamber. We are called as an olfactory chamber. So here you see the complete nasal cavity means, we are separated them into vestibular, respiratory and vestibular. And complete overall nasal cavity if you take means, this nasal cavity completely it was covered by the mucous membrane. Mucous membrane means, for example, if you see is on top of this nasal cavity there is a small layer like will be presented, and that layer we called as a mucous membrane. So what is the function of the mucous membrane means, for example, you have to take your small finger and you have to keep it inside of your nose means, we can able to see the small wet like and will be presented there. How it will be presented means, this one only. So why it was having a wet means, it will be cool our whatever gas we are breathing, that gas they are making them to cool. At the same time, you don't know that sometimes we are going on road or somewhere we are walking time. So here sometimes when you are breathing some dust particles will be presented in the air. So at that time what happens is, when you are breathing air through them onwards, these dust particles also entered into your nasal cavity. If you are allowing those dust particles into inside of your body means, what happened? These dust particles will be accumulated in our body and they will be make some damage to it. So that's why what we are doing here means, here in the nasal cavity, these mucous membrane will be allowing to the sticking of those dust particles to the nasal cavity. At the same time, these air follicles they will be holding all the dust particles there. For example, if you see the inside of your nose, some air particles will be presented. Those air particles, what they are doing means, these air follicles stop the dust particles, or if you are having a more amount of the dust particles means, all these dust particles are holded by these air follicles. So when they are holded after, what happens is, they are pushing all those dust particles into the outside by the one ciliary action. So when the dust particles all are they are pushed into the outside, from the nose onwards they are pushing them into the outside. That action we call as a ciliary action. So when these dust particles are coming through the nose onwards, in that time we are getting the sneezing. Sneezing we are getting. Sometimes we are sneezing, getting time what happened? Some water particles and everything coming. In them, mostly they contain so much of dust particles are presented there. So here in the human respiratory system, the first organ is in nostrils, and they are pores only, and they are what is the function they are performing means, they are just allowing the air into the body. And after the nostrils complete after, we can able to see the nasal cavity, and here we can able to see the three chambers. Especially we want to know the olfactory chamber, and that olfactory chamber was performing the detection of smell. Why they are performing the detection of smell means, they contain the olfactory cells there. And at the same time, this nasal cavity was contain the mucous membrane and hair follicles, and they are defense for the stopping of dust particles into our body. So this is on about the nasal cavity. And the next one is in a pharynx. Next one is in a pharynx. What is the function of the pharynx? Already you know, you have some idea about what is a pharynx. So here in the digestive system we already learned about them. So here the pharynx means, it's not any organ. What is the pharynx means? The pharynx was here the common area in between the oral cavity and nasal cavity. Here they are a common area in between the nasal cavity and oral cavity. Here which place was, they are both joined, and that place we call as a pharynx. That place we are calling as a pharynx. And what is the function of their doing means, they are not doing anything, but here in the pharynx area we can able to see the one flap-like structure. What we calling the flap-like structure means, we are calling the flap-like structure as an epiglottis. We are calling as an epiglottis. You already have an idea about the epiglottis. This flap-like structure, what is the function they are performing means, before we discuss it, they are performing like as one trophic police. For example, if you take the trophic police means, what the function they are doing, what is the duty was doing. What is the duty he was doing means sometimes he was stopping the some vehicles to stop and allowing the some other vehicles on the road. Similarly, here this epiglottis will be have a common junction between the oral cavity and nasal cavity, and there they will be allowing the food material into esophagus, and they are allowing the air into trachea. Air will be, I mean, for example, if you see that this is the trachea here, and in the back of this trachea we can able to see the esophagus. Esophagus, there is a one kind of tube will be present. You know that 20 to 25 centimeters they presented. Here we can able to see the one bag-like structure. What we calling means, you know that stomach we are calling. So here they have the same. For example, you have to imagine they are allowing the air into the esophagus and they are allowing the food particles into trachea. Means what happened? The food particles will be entered into the lungs. So here the epiglottis, they are allowing the food material into the esophagus, and they are presented flap-like structure. They are allowing the air into the lungs. So here they are performing as a role like a trophic pulse. I mean, they are allowing. Sometimes they are asking you in examination also. And if you take the epiglottis is kind of one trophic pulse duty they are performing means yes. And what is the function they are performing means they are separate the passages of food and air. The air will be allowed into the lungs, means the food they are allowed into the esophagus. So here the pharynx complete after. What is the next one? So pharynx is a common area in between nasal cavity and oral cavity. So after that, what is the organ? Next one is the next organ is in larynx. Next one is in larynx. Here they are pronunciation wise, they are same. I mean little bit same, not be completely same, little bit. So pharynx is a common area. Larynx, the next one here we can able to see. And what is the function of this larynx and what they are performing? So here if you take the pharynx means the pharynx is the most important organ. I mean larynx is the most important organ in our body. For example, if you see now what I am doing now, I am speaking, I mean saying the lesson for you. So when I am saying the lesson means what I require, I want to say some sounds, I want to pronunciate some sounds. How I am pronunciating means by the help of the larynx only. I mean why we are calling the larynx, I mean they have another name for that, and that name was voice box. That name was voice box. And why we are calling the voice box means by the help of the larynx only we can able to produce the sound. For example, you have to take your palm and you have to keep it in your neck region. So when you keep it in your neck region and you have to say for example, you have to take your 4 fingers and you have to keep it here. And you have to pronunciate any some words. For example, how I am talking, like that only you have to talk. For example, when you are talking time, here if you put it your palm means if little bit some vibrations like will become. For example, if you keep your phone as a vibration mode. So when you are keeping vibration mode means what happen? Any call will be comes means it will be same do some sound like that. So similarly here also when you are pronunciating time, your palm will be collect the some vibration sound like. So those vibrations only producing the sound. So immediately one student is asking me one question, sir, how they are producing the sounds? I mean why they are vibrating? Why they are vibrating is, for example, if you are taking a larynx means here we can able to see the one round color tube-like structure. And here if you see me, this tube-like structure will be contain the 2 flap-like structures. And we are calling those 2 flap-like structures as in a vocal cords. We are calling as in a vocal cords. For example, some members will be saying that they are continuously talking. In that time, they are saying that your vocal cords will be reduced. Don't talk like that. They are saying actually vocal cords are very very important in the pronunciation. So in the middle, we can able to see the some empty space there, and that one we call as a glottis. So when we are breathing time, if you are seeing is here the lungs outwards, the air will be passed from the going into the outside. So when they are going into the outside, these vocal cords are partially closed. So when they are partially closed, these air passage will be make them to push. When they are making them to push they are little bit, they will be do the some vibration and they will be moved. So in that time only we can able to produce the sound. Even when you are talking time, here we are keeping palm, at the same time you have to keep your palm in front of your mouth. Keep it means some air will be blowing to the and touch your palm. So here the larynx will be performing as a function as a for the pronunciation. We are talking for the talking they are helping to us. So that's why we are calling the larynx as a voice box. We are calling as a voice box. So after that, when the larynx is complete, after what is the next organ? Means the next organ is a trachea. What is the next organ? Trachea. So here before we already discussed that. So how the esophagus will be connecting to the stomach, oral cavity and stomach. Similarly, here also the trachea will be connecting the nasal cavity to lungs. And here if you take the esophagus, means how much length it was have. I mean before we discussed that 20 to 25 centimeters they have. But if you are taken the trachea, means the trachea will be have only 10 to 11 centimeters only. 10 to 11 centimeters only they have. And why they have the 10 to 12 centimeters only, means here they are little bit they will be present in the some upper portion. That's why they have a small length only. And even this trachea will be divided into two branches. About them we can discuss now. So here if you take the trachea, means it was having a 10 to 11 centimeters. 10 to 11 centimeters. So here they are just like a connecting tube for the nasal cavity and lungs. So here if you see the diagrams here are drawn as some ring-like structures. Do you see that? And what are those? What are those? Means actually these are called as cartilage rings. They are called as cartilage rings. I mean what is the cartilage rings and why they have there? For example, if you see me through the up to end of the lungs, I am drawn those ring-like structures. Why I am drawn? For example, you have to take a cycle tube once. You have to take one cycle tube, means sometimes what happens is these tube will be coming closer, sometimes they will be relaxing. For example, if you are breathing time, what happens? The air will be passing through this trachea onwards. If the air will be passing through the trachea onwards time, what happens? There will be have some pressure for the air. So sometimes what happens is this trachea will be come closer and they will be stick. So this is the one kind of tube. For example, you have to imagine this is a trachea. So when there is no proper air pressure, means what happens? The walls of the trachea will be come closer and they will be stick. So in case the trachea walls will be stick, means what happens? There is no passage of air. Why? Means they are already blocked. They are already blocked. So if you are blocked, means how can we able to come bring back to their original position? It's not possible. So there is a natural mechanism I have for them. What is the natural mechanism? These walls are made up of one ring-like structures. They are arranged. So these ring-like structures, what they are doing means never they will be make the trachea to come closer and they will be have like that position on. So in that time what happens? Always the trachea will be having the opened condition. They are having the opened condition. So what is the importance of the cartilage rings? Means the cartilage rings will be helping to us in the collapsing of trachea. Collapsing means sometimes the trachea will be come closer and they will be stick. From them onwards, these cartilage rings will be protecting. And do you know that how many rings are presented? Means around we can able to see the 15 to 18 rings are presented, cartilage rings. And they will be helping to them from the collapsing and coming closer to our walls of the trachea. And here this is on about the trachea. And the trachea was complete after. What is the next one? Next one was, here if you see means from the here onwards to here and drawn the trachea only. But after that the trachea will be divided into two branches. So each branch, here trachea will be divided into two branches, means they will be divided into two branches and each branch will be lead to the lungs. So here we have two lungs in our body. So each branch will be going on to the each side of the lung and they will be passed. So here when the trachea will be separated into two branches, means that one we call as a bronchus. We are called as a bronchus. And these bronchus also made up of cartilage rings. And why they have means you know that. Cartilage rings are protecting them from the collapsing onwards. So each bronchus will be lead to the in each lung. After that these bronchus again if you are see here means again they are divided. So again they are divided means what happened? What we calling? We are calling them as a bronchioles. We are calling them as a bronchioles. The first one is a bronchus. Okay. So here the trachea separate divided means we call it a bronchus. After again this bronchus will be divided as a bronchioles. So after the bronchioles they formed after they are again. So here how many times they are dividing? First the trachea onwards bronchus, a bronchus onwards to bronchioles. After bronchioles, after how many times it will be divided? You know that approximately 7 times it will be divided. And for everything they have a names for them. Primary bronchioles, secondary bronchioles, and the bronchioles, and the next one is a primary alveolus. secondary alveolus, so many names are there for them, and they are not required for you. So here the first the trachea will be divided as a bronchus. After the bronchus will be divided as in a bronchioles, and each bronchioles will be lead to the small tiny chambers are presented in your lungs. Inside of your lungs, the small tiny chambers will be presented. I mean, if you take the your lungs, means the inside of your lung, you can able to see a small tiny room like structures will be seen. And the small tiny like structures, we call them as those chambers as an alveoli. We are called as an alveoli. And there only exchange of gases will be take place. There only exchange. So here each bronchioles will be each and every bronchiole will be go on to the in each chamber, and each chamber we called as an alveoli. So when the bronchiole will be release that air here in the alveoli, there the exchange of gases will be take place. I mean, they are taking oxygen and releasing the carbon dioxide there at the alveoli place. How the gases exchange there it will be take place, I will explain it to you. So here if you see means until now we are discussing the some organs: nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, and larynx we call as a voice box. And why we calling as a voice box? You know that vocal cords are presented there. And the next one is a trachea, and the next one is a bronchus, and the next one is a bronchiolus, and the next one is a alveoli. So here I missed anything means I missed one thing. What is that one means? About the lungs. Until now I pronounced it, I said the so many times lungs. But what are the lungs and what is the function I have not said. They are contain the alveoli. They are inside the gases exchange will be take place. Already you have understood that. But what is the function of the lungs means we have to learn a little bit. So here if you take the lungs means here in the lungs we can able to see the two lungs are presented, and where they are presented means we can able to see in the thoracic cavity. For example, if you take our body means this portion up to here we call it a chest portion, we call it the thoracic cavity. And after that whatever the organ is thoracic cavity, after we call this portion as an abdomen. So here these lungs where they are presented means they are presented in the thoracic cavity region. So how many lungs are presented means two. One is in the right side and the one is in the left side. So here which one is the right and which one is the left? Here this one we call as a right lung, and this one we call as a left lung. And here sometimes in the labeling time most of the students are confused and they are writing this one is the left and this one is the right. But here in the heart, when we are discuss about the circulatory system time, there we are going to discuss about the heart chambers. Most of the members they are writing as a jumbled way. So here you have to keep it in your mind. From where onwards you are writing. For example, when you are writing on the paper from the right to left, you are right. So here from where onwards you started, that side is called as the right. Up to here we call as the left. Which side you are writing, that side is the left side. So here always you have to label this one is the right and there is the left. So here if you see these two lungs means here these two lungs are, which one is a big in size? Which one is a big in size means the right lung is a big in size and left lung was in the small. And why it was in the big in size means the right lung was made up of three lobes. Three lobes means here if you take the lungs means here I am drawn as a complete as a single structure. But here if you see means these are the right side lung, it will be arranged as a three balloon like structures, and these three balloon like structures we call as a lobes. Three lobes they are presented there. So that's why they are little bit big in size. But when you are taken the left lung means the left lung was made up of two lobes only. Here only you understood that. Here the right lung was made up of three lobes means here the left lung was having a two lobes. That's why it was having a small in size. And here if you take the right lung, how many grams, how much weight it was have, how much weight it was having? 620 grams it was have. 620 grams it was have. And when you are taking a left lung means the left lung was having a 560 grams. So here we have to do the plus of these two. 620 and 560 you have to add these two. Add it means what happened? How much number you got? 620 plus 560 means 8 and 11. Approximately in your body the lungs weight was 1180 grams. Approximately 1 kg. 1 kg above they have in your body weight, your lungs only occupying the 1 kg weight. So here the right lung was contained the 3 lobes and left lung was contained the 2 lobes. And here I have is a big in size and the left lung is in a small, and it was having a weight as in a 620, and this one as in a 560 grams. And here I want to say the one more thing. So these lungs on around them we can able to see the some layers are present. For example, if you see the lungs on around them, we can able to see the outer membrane and inner membrane are presented. Outer membrane and inner membrane, what we calling means, we are calling those membranes as a visceral and parietal membrane. I mean, we are simply called as a both together as a pleural membrane. Pleural membrane. So on around the lungs we can able to see the membrane like structures are presented. We are calling them as a pleural membrane. And what is the function of the pleural membrane? Sometimes you are knocking your friends. For example, you are holding your friend's shirts like this, and you are pushing them by touching their chest. In that time, what happens? Actually, the lungs are very sensitive organs. From their presence onwards, how your lungs will be protecting means by the help of these membranes. These membranes are protecting them. Pleural membrane. In between these membranes and lungs, we can able to see the some empty space, and that empty space was occupied by the pleural fluid, and it was protecting the lungs from the external shocks and pressures onwards. They are protecting. So this is on about the human respiratory system, and they are organs. So what are the organs we are discussing in nostrils? You know that nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea is a long tube-like structures and 10 to 11 centimeters, and it was contained the cartilage rings. And larynx trachea complete after this. Trachea will be divided into bronchus. Bronchus was divided into bronchioles. Each and every bronchiole will be lead to a small tiny chamber in your lungs, and that one we call as an alveoli. And after that, here we can able to see the two lungs in our thoracic cavity, and the lungs are covered by the pleural membrane, and it was contained the pleural fluid, and it was protecting them from the external pressures and shocks onwards. So this is on about the human respiratory organs. In the next class, we are going to discuss on about the what are the steps in the respiration. Until now, we are not entered into the respiration process. Until now, we discussed about the organs one. So in the next class, we are going to discuss about the what is the how many steps are presented in the respiration and all those, and each and every step we discuss. Thank you.